Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. And when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Sweet dreams. Hello, and welcome to Book 2, Chapter 7 of You Should Be Reading. Today we're going to be talking about Maplecroft by Cherie Priest. I hope I'm saying that right. It looks like Cherie Priest. Might be Cherry. I'm not entirely sure. But I'll call her Cherie. It seems right. Now, Maplecroft is book 1 of the Borden Dispatches, all about the famous American legend of Lizzie Borden, the young woman who killed her mother and father with an axe. And as you can see from here, it's a young woman back in 1800s style, Victorian era almost, dress, with a bloody axe. Now, this book, this author, I've read both of her vampire series books, Bloodshot and Hellbent. I've read all of her Clockwork Century books. So when I saw this one, I'm like, well, it's a new book by Cherie Priest. I'm picking it up. Doesn't matter what it is. Then I looked at the back, and it is back in like the 1890s, and there are strange creatures attacking the Borden sisters, Lizzie and her sister Emma. And basically, it's Cthulhu. Okay, basically it's Cthulhu. Monsters from the deep, deep ocean, unknowable things. They don't come right out and say Cthulhu. They don't come right out and say that sort of thing. But it's more or less what it is. There's ties to the ocean. There's sea creatures. There's mysterious, strange things going on. There is a place in here called the Miskatonic University. Any of you who know Lovecraft will know that name. It takes place in Fall River, Massachusetts, close to the ocean, and it is some interesting stuff. It's very grim. It's very dark. There's no easy answers in anything that goes on in here. There's no end of the day. Like, it's kind of a spoiler, but the ending itself isn't really. It's an ending. I wouldn't say it's a happy ending. There's a second book coming out to it as well, I believe called Chapelwood. That'll be soon. But amazing read. Anyone who's read Cherie Priest knows she is a fantastic author, one who does quite a lot of good work. Now, I would highly recommend it because it is the Victorian era, or kind of like the Victorian era back in the early days of the United States, that sort of thing, telegrams, the old world sensibilities. And then you've got monsters, evil fish monsters with glass teeth. You've got people turning into monsters. You've got strange supernatural things. There's an inspector from Boston, an Inspector Wolf, Simon Wolf, I believe is his name. He works for some organization. Not sure what organization that is. There's mystery in this book, bigger than one book has room for, which is why there's a sequel. But it is extremely well written, extremely well paced, and some of it kind of made me a little uncomfortable in a good way. It's very much in keeping with Lovecraft and his style of writing. In a way, it lends wonderful homage to that genre. So yes, I'm trying to keep my videos shorter, so that's all I'm going to say about the book, other than really you need to read it, and I will leave you with this. These are the things an earthquake brings. Lizzie Andrew Borden, March 17th, 1894. No one else is allowed in the cellar. Emma has a second key, in case I am injured or trapped down there. But Emma also has instructions about how and when to use that key. When she knocks upon the cellar door, I must always reply, "Emma dear, I'm nearly finished," even if I'm not working on anything at all. Even if I'm simply down there writing in my journals. If I say anything else when she knocks, or if I do not respond, my elder sister knows what to do. She must summon Dr. Seabury, and then prevent him from descending into the cellar unarmed. I wish there was someone closer she could send for, but no one else would come. The good doctor, though, he could be persuaded to attend us, I believe. And he's a large man, sturdy and in good health for a fellow of his age. Quite a commanding presence, very much the old soldier, which is no surprise. During the war between the States, he served as a field surgeon. I know that much. He must have been quite young, but the military training has served him well through the years, even in such a provincial setting as Fall River. Yes, I think all things being equal, he's the last and best chance either Emma or I would have, were either of us to meet with some accident. And between the two of us, I suppose it must be admitted, to myself if no one else, that accidents are more likely to befall me than her. Ah well, I'd take up safer hobbies if I could. I locked the cellar door behind myself, and proceeded down the narrow wood-slat stairs into the darkness of that half-finished pit, once intended for vegetables, roots, or wines. I paid a pretty penny to refurbish the place so that the floor is stable and the walls are stacked with stone. During wet weather these stones weep buckets and the floor creaks something awful, but by and large it's secure enough. Secure and quiet. Dreadfully so, as I've learned on occasion. I could scream my head off down there, and Emma could be reading peacefully by the fireplace. She'd never hear a thing. Obviously this concerns me, but what can I do? My precautions are for the safety and well-being of us both. Of us all. I lit the gas fixtures as I went. All three came on with a turn of their switches, and by the time I reached the final stair, I cast a huge, long shadow, as if I were a giant in my own laboratory. My laboratory. That feels like the wrong word, but what else can I call it? This is the place where I've gathered my specimens, collected my tools, recorded my findings, and meticulously documented all experiments and tests. So the word must apply. I cannot claim to have made any real progress, except now I know 1,000 ways in which I have failed to save anyone, anywhere. From anything. It would be easier, I think, if I knew there was some finite number of possibilities, an absolute threshold of events I could try in order to produce successful, repeatable results. If I knew there were only 1,000,000 hypothetical trials, I would cheerfully, painstakingly navigate them all from first to last. Such a task might take the rest of my life, but it'd be a comfort to know I was forcing some definite evolution to a crisis. But I don't know any such thing, and more likely the possibilities measure in the billions, or are altogether endless. I shudder to consider it, but I'd be a fool if I didn't. So I go on wishing. I wish for the prospect of a definite finale, and I wish I were not alone. I'll leave you with that, my listeners, my readers, my peeps. No, remind me never to say that word again. Put it on the list, peeps. But yes, this week you should be reading Maplecroft by Cherie Priest. And I'll see you next week.